One. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Backstage with Bro Fiki, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the music industry. Join us today with Kelly Boyce of City Weekly Magazine. Thank you, Kelly, for joining us. Today we're going to talk about his story, where he fits in here in Salt Lake City entertainment, music, all the fun things. We keep running into each other and I'm like, man, I got to get this guy's story. So here we are, another episode. Thank you for tuning in. Kelly, how the heck are you, man? What's going on in Kelly land?
Doing great. Love just chatting with you right before this. I'm very interested to find out what I actually do myself. So,
I know, right? Yeah, it's like, have you ever had anybody ask you like what you do or how you fit into things? And you're like,
Every single week, people have no clue what I do because I'm at every single event and none of them are usually related to each other.
Right.
And I seem to know everybody. And I'm just there having fun. Usually I'm behind the camera, so this is something very different from me. So it's nice to hide behind that sometimes. That's my way of being social. Yeah.
It is an interesting thing too, like being behind the camera. I think that's the first time I met you is when we were doing photos at an event together. I have no idea which one it was though.
No, we've met multiple times, and I knew you were going to ask that when the first time we met.
Oh shit!
And the biggest time we had a full-on conversation would have been up in Ogden, though, at one of Jared Allen's events.
Ogden Twilight.
No, it was before Ogden Twilight, though.
Was it his birthday thing?
Birthday.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
To his new
over at the Windsor Hotel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gosh. Okay. So this is back in January.
That, I think, but that's where we talked the most. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That was a very small, intimate setting. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I did. I was living in Holiday at the time, and he reached out to me for an event that I was helping down at Flankers, and he wrote me on Facebook Messenger, and he's like, "Hey, I want to come to your event," and I'm like, "Whoa. Okay. Sweet." So I got to put him on my guest list for an event that I helped create, which was a first for me because I'm always asking him to come to his events. And he came up and he loved it. And he's like, "Hey man, like, can you come help me with this up in Ogden?" And so I helped him design his after party for Ogden Twilight. And then it was like a week after that, he's like, "Hey, I'm doing my birthday thing. Come up." And I did. So I drove all the way from Holiday. Didn't know what was going on. We went over to Unspoken. It was packed. And then it was like, "Hey, we're going to go across the street to this building that I bought and redid." I'm like, "You do that a lot."
He is the mayor of Ogden. He calls himself the mayor of Ogden nightlife. He always corrects me and says nightlife, but he has his hand in everything, it seems, up there. You're talking about being a nice guy. That boy is just
so nice.
His brother Mike are just so nice to everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the bands he books for Ogden Twilight, I'm like, I don't really know who these are, but I trust you because he picks performers. I'm like, even if I listen to him, I'm like, I don't think that's my music. I'll still go because I know he picked them for a reason. So I love that. So, yeah.
Okay, so it was his birthday. Yeah, we did. I met the Connorich family then too, Tiff and Doug and a few other people, and a lot of people I knew already. Because what's interesting about Ogden, my family did the String and Signs Zombie Prom every year over at the Union Station for my aunt who had juvenile diabetes. So that was our family's thing. And it was actually Jared's opening of Alleged was the same night as Zombie Prom back in 2016.
Okay.
I knew Jared from the gym. Honestly, I recognized him, but I didn't. He was just really quiet and shy. And he was always there when I was there. And I'm like, "Hey, how are you? What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm building this bar thing." And I'm like, "Sweet, I'll check it out." So that was the first time I met. I went over there. I'm like, "This is really cool." But for Ogden at the time, though, you're like, what? Like, okay, well, I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's check it out. Now you and I are at shows all the time. And I can't go somewhere without running into your beautiful self.
And I would have never expected. I moved out here from Ohio to Utah 8 years ago. I took a job at Weber State where I used to do all the marketing for their campus recreation department.
Okay.
Fitness, outdoors, everything. But I didn't know anybody.
Really?
So
okay.
I actually used City Weekly. They were hosting a bar crawl. How I found out about everything when I first moved here.
Okay.
They hosted a bar crawl. I'd met some girls and went out there. And it was a dress up one. I think it was like a superhero theme, possibly. But it was sponsored by Five Wives Vodka, which
Steve Conlon's thing.
A lot. So Steve Conlon was there. He was sponsoring it. He was taking photos for it. We got to talking. I told him I just moved to Ogden, and this was a Salt Lake bar crawl. So that's actually where I met Steve Conlon. And you may know that we talked about this before. I'm one of the original Five Husbands now. So that bar crawl pretty much led me to Steve Conlon being one of my best friends while he lived here. I love Steve. Just helping them out as like a friend of the company in the beginning. They put me on the Five Husbands bottle as they started.
I remember that.
Yeah, such a unique way of how that happened. I was like, okay, man.
Let's hear it. What is it? In fact, anybody that's listening, if you don't know, Five Wives Vodka is a Utah distillery, right? And it's just a brand of vodka. So it was Five Wives for a while, kind of making a crack joke on Utah polygamists with the Mormons. But Five Husbands was a special thing, right? That was 2020, 2021?
They did that 5 years ago was the first one. And it's Ogden's own distillery. Five Wives is their vodka. They make all the Porter's whiskeys, which is named after Orwin Porter Rockwell, who is also another big Mormon person of history. He was Brigham Young's bodyguard that made his own alcohol, like killed anybody that got in his way. It was a huge drunk. And then they have Madame Pattirini Gin, which is named after Brigham Young's 24th son, who was a cross-dresser. So we have a picture of them on the bottle. And then it's actually started off with Underground Herbal, which is a similar to Jaeger, but it has about half the sugar of it and it has a little vanilla to it.
It is really good.
This competition, but that one's pretty cool because the person that founded Ogden's old distillery, Tim Smith, he's actually the lead singer for a Johnny Cash cover band, which is one of the best in the nation. So
I didn't know that.
Very good. If you've never had a chance to talk to that guy, he's one of the most amazing humans out there.
That's Tim.
Tim, yeah.
Okay, so you'll have to introduce me sometime.
Yeah, he's like a little, what would you call it? Like not a wizard, but
a little wizard. Okay, an alchemist.
We'll go with wizard. Why not go with wizard?
Wizard, I like that. Tim, you're a wizard.
Yes. But I was able to meet Steve there at the bar, and we just became friends. And with Five Wives, they use, in order, just like most companies, they have to sponsor a lot of events to get like more
their
attention.
name out there.
So he would sponsor all these events, but Five Wives and Ogden's Own was just a small company, so they would always get tickets to these events, but nobody would ever go to them or use them, and it was hard to do it. So he started asking me. He's like, "Hey, I got some tickets. You want to go?" And like the first few, I showed up. I said yes to everything, and I showed up early and helped with things.
Yeah.
And from that point, he just invited me to everything, and then I'm a marketing guy by nature, and I'm a very social, fun person. So everybody thought I was working for them because I was with the Five Wives and I was getting paid.
Yeah, you're always there. Okay.
He would buy me drinks. That's what my association started off with, Five Wives, and I would get to go to events. And with that, I got to learn about. I had already worked in tons of events before. My background is. I'm going all over the place here, but
it's okay. Let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Yeah, my background. I went to college down in Florida. I got a sport management degrees, but everything has been event and sport marketing focus for me. So when I was down there, I got to work for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I worked with them when they hosted the Super Bowl, so I got paid to work the Super Bowl, which was pretty cool.
Whoa, that is pretty neat.
And then I took a job at the Sports Commission in Cleveland, which is where all you do is you bring in large sporting events to the city and you coordinate them, market it, like you bid for them. So that was quite exciting. And that led me to working some pretty large events. But one of the coolest things that got me involved with the AST Dew Tour, which is similar to like the X Games, so like all the skateboarding, BMX, FMX, and that led me to working in live event productions with them and traveling with them for a while. Okay. And I got to do camera work, which is something I had never been trained in before. So I got trained by this national tour how to do camera work and it was only because I knew I did like a little bit of social work, but I'm old, I'm 38. And they didn't, like, that was when Facebook, I think I still had my first profile picture on Facebook when that came out, when I started working there. But I ended up getting to shoot all this amazing footage, got trained by like one of the best companies that you can imagine. And I actually had I think it was the second year I actually got to, there were so many wind delays that I actually got to have some of my content filmed and put on NBC. And it was live. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And that kind of was, in my opinion, what I think started my passion for like being behind the camera a little bit. Like,
I love that.
And that kind of translates to like the Five Wives thing. You get to see all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, you don't have to pay for the ticket, wait in line, and then pick a seat and hope for the best experience. I get to see how everything happens. I get to see how all the staff go together, how the ticketing works, who gets to sponsor things, who belongs back there, who's actually backstage, and how boring it actually is backstage in most cases. It's very disappointing. I'm like, no, I'm good. But I love dancing on the floor, as you see me most of the time.
Yeah, you're always shaking. You're always bringing. Yeah,
I don't care if I have a VIP ticket or a sponsored ticket. I'm on the floor because I like to dance. I don't like to. I'll go in the VIP to steal the free water and food. I'm not that horrible of a person, but but for the most part, I'm dancing. I love to dance. Nowadays, that's kind of my workout. So Steve got me involved in that, and Steve is a professional photographer as well. So I got to learn a lot from him and being around other photographers at the time. And I'm a competitive person for my sport background. So and at this point, I'd already done a bunch of jobs where I've gotten social media. I went and got my master's and did more event and facility management, but emphasis on marketing, taught myself to be a graphic designer, and now kind of just made weird careers out of it. But I didn't think I was going to be in Utah for a while, but I didn't know I was outdoorsy until I moved out here, because I played sports for a living, like different sport every single day, and every season it was different sport. And now I'm doing the adventure stuff and going to all the events. I actually didn't go to a lot of concerts, which people are always shocked when
that's hard to believe, because now you're at a lot of them.
I went to, and it took me a hard time to actually figure out, because I'm like, I don't really remember going to concerts. And I found out I only went to one concert, like big concert, before I graduated high school. And it was when I think it was a freshman in high school, and it was a Boyce II Men concert with my stepmom and my sisters. So, and now if you look at me now, I'm at anywhere from 3 to 5 shows a week.
Yeah. 1 sec. I'm going to close this door. My apologies. 1 second. Dryer was beeping. It wouldn't stop. So nice. I was like, oh man, that's going to be annoying. Okay. I can say the same thing. Like my first concert was, it was back in 2003. I went to Yellow Card in the starting line at the Maverick Center, or the Delta Center, whatever the hell it is now. I don't know. That building. And I think I just turned 16. No, I'm 16. Yeah, because I'm 35. And I also, my first mosh pit, I also got knocked out and blacked out. So I'll always remember it.
Got a lot out of the way.
Yeah. I go all out, man. It's like 100. You just, why not make it memorable? But after that, it was like,
now.
Yeah. What's that?
The mosh pits are a lot easier to just film. And
you're like, I'm just going to stand over here, and then, I went to X96 big ass show and then Warp Tour at the Utah Fairgrounds, and I loved it. And that's kind of where everything started for me, honestly, with music, with photography and everything. It was 2012. I was working for Logitech, and Logitech owns Ultimate Years, this company, so UE.
Okay.
And I was the product manager for UE for because they have like every division, right? You have webcams, keyboards, mice, whatever. But I was the youngest one that worked for Logitech, and they're pretty well known, like all my keyboards, mice, everything, right? They're like, hey, you're young, you listen to music, we're going to assign Ultimate Years to you. I'm like, what the hell is this? And they're like, well, it's a pretty easy sales pitch, and the products are going end of life, so it's not that big a deal. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, we're scrapping the entire product lines.
Okay.
Like, we only bought Ultimate Years back in 2010 for the speakers, for like the monitor, like how small they were. I'm like, okay. And at this time, I didn't know anything about music. And they had like earbuds, just regular like lined headphones that you'd plug into your phone back then. They were $499 because there were 10 miniature speakers in them, like bass, treble, everything. I'm like, what the hell? No wonder they're going, who's gonna pay $500 for corded headphones that don't even have like on these Beats, right? Like we have like the button for like, this stuff. Didn't even have that. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, oh, we just bought them for the speakers for the computers. Well, I convinced them to compete with iFrogs and Skull Candy. And I'm like, guys, you need a consumer line, $30, $50. And they're like, well, we have like 500 of these units sitting back in this storage. If you want to take them to the back to school show and try to sell them, that's fine. And I'm like, bet. Back before bet was a thing. Like my daughter taught me what this was. This is embarrassing. So I go to this convention back in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for D&H Distributing, because we use distributors to sell our product through like Best Buy PC laptops and whatnot. And I sold out of all of them in like one day of being at this convention. And they're like, Logitech, Ultimate Years, Logitech's great. We'd rather have this than Skull Candy. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So they brought the product back to consumers, but I had a bunch of demos in my backpack, right? So they were like $49.99, and they had the in-ear mic, which was brand new at the time. Like, so these were $50. They weren't even on the market. And I had like 10 of them in my backpack because I just got off the plane and went straight to Warp Tour in 2012. Like literally off the plane, backpack I go. And Taking Back Sunday was headlining. They were part of Kia Soul's, whatever promotion, 2012. And I get up there, and the pitch for UE was 80% of musicians use Ultimate Ears custom in-ear molds when they're in the recording studio and when they're on stage. Okay, so that was my in. I get up to get my iPod Touch and a dollar bill signed and autographed by Taking Back Sunday. And I was so nervous. I've never like met celebrities or anything. And I'm like, hey, do you guys use Ultimate Ears? And they're like, yeah, actually, we love ours. And Adam, the lead singer, was like, yeah, I just got these new ones. And he was showing me, and I'm like, will you guys test these new products out for me? Like, I work for Ultimate Ears, and I'm trying to, whatever. Open up my backpack, and I gave all the band members them because they were doing the autographs at Kia Soul. And their manager was there too, Jillian Newman. And she's like, that was so kind of you. And I'm like, listen, I just really like my job. I was only making like $40,000 a year, right? But I was, 2012. I was 24 years old, and I'm like, here, I love your music. Will you sign this? And then next thing I know, that's when it all started for me. And so every time they came through, Jillian would put me on the all access list. That's why I've got a couple of their things here. So Taking Back Sunday, Ultimate Years, working for Logitech got me into this. But then I started paying attention to music. And then I remember I was married to a photographer, and I was trying to get her to do photos for the band. And Jillian's like, send me her portfolio of concerts. I'm like, she's never done any. And COVID happened, whatever. And then all of a sudden I have a photography portfolio, and I'm like, hey, Jillian, can I do photos of Taking Back Sunday? And she's like, hell yes, you can. So this is how I met The Used. That's how I met Spencer Chamberlain of Under Oath when he was doing Sleepwave, Bayside, Coheed and Cambria, Jimmy Eat World, because of Taking Back Sunday, because I gave them headphones in 2012.
Yep.
That's where it started. And the only reason I did photos of concerts is because I wanted to take some for Taking Back Sunday. So I needed a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we met, is because of this company and this product.
Awesome. Yeah.
If it wasn't for I had demos in my backpack. So that's how I got into it. And you doing the whole Steve. I met Steve, drag show. I got invited to do Gia's birthday bash photos in 2019.
Okay.
I was working for Gia temporarily, part-time at American Eagle in Station Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I only was doing that because it was one day a month and I got 60% off of everything. Because at the time I was married, and between the two of us, we had 6 kids, and 5 of them were girls. And I'm like, I have 3 children, but while we were married, I had 3 step kids. So we had 5 daughters together, and then my little boy. And it was something fun for us to do, but I didn't know that Gia was a drag queen or anything. And it was just like, hey, do you want to come do photos of my thing? So that's how it started. It's just very interesting. And Steve was there.
Yep.
But bringing this around, because you're learning about me as I'm learning about you. That's a cool thing about this. 5 husbands. How did you get selected to be one of the 5 husbands? And you kind of gave a backstory of how this all started.
Yeah.
But how are you selected? And now I need to go get a bottle and get it autographed by you.
So what happened was Steve actually stole my marketing assistant at Weber State.
Oh no.
And I introduced them, and he ended up hiring her as a graphic designer. She was interning with me, and he just stole her from me. I was like, what? But I'd already been helping in all their events. So if you were at any of those events that Five Wives sponsor, you probably recognize me as the Five Wives guy, even though I wasn't working for Five Wives. I just did it for fun.
Yeah.
So what they did is they were going to put all the owners on the bottle, but
that's lame.
Yeah. So what they did, they ended up going with 3 of the owners on it, and then the 2 marketing people. One of them was SMP, Stephen Michael Page, if you ever met him.
I have.
He was the marketing coordinator at the time, and then I was basically his assistant, but I was the super fun guy that everybody remembered, the one that would pour shots down your throats or get full bottles and swag out to everybody.
Yeah.
Put tattoos on everybody. And then the graphic designer who created the first 5 husbands, it's a photoshopped of an image, and she put our heads on all of them. And I think they just sent me a text message one day. He's like, are you okay with being on the bottle? And I was like, sure.
Okay.
I had no clue what it meant. And then they showed it to me, and I was like, oh, this is funny. What is this? And it's something we're going to do. I'm like, huh? I had a lot of questions, but they were like, are you okay with it? I'm like,
I want to see if I can find it.
Sure. Yeah, let's go. And to give a quick background, it's 5 really ripped guys holding roosters above where their penises should be.
I'm going to see if I can find the photo. Here we go.
So, and my thing is I was working at a fitness center, so I was actually in pretty good shape. And so I used to tell people I was the only one that wasn't photoshopped on there. And so that was a lot of fun. And at this point, I identified as being straight. A few years ago, I did finally come out as being bi. So I was like,
good for you.
I guess all it took was me being put on a gay liquor bottle that went national attention for me to realize that. But yeah, went to an all-boy Catholic high school, homophobic thing everywhere, and now I'm the biggest atheist, and
you're just doing your own thing now.
Out there, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna credit being on a gay liquor bottle.
Yeah, so that's it
for the 5 husbands. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, so you're from,
go ahead.
and you're from Ohio. You went to Florida. You moved out here 8 years ago. Where at in Ohio? I actually lived there too. I lived in Medway.
Okay. I'm from Toledo and Cleveland. So mostly Toledo area. So right at the border of Michigan. So yeah, went there. Then my master's was in Indiana. And then I knew I wanted to go someplace fun for my job when I was picking what university I wanted to go to.
Okay.
And somehow I ended up in Ogden. I kind of just wanted the free trip when they flew me out here for the interviews.
Okay.
But I thought it was like so pretty, and like they had the best offer for me at the time. And I was like, I'll be here for a year or two, do like a stepping stone to another job, and just ended up doing really good there, but got involved with Five Wives, met so many cool people. And right before this, I was in Ohio. I was running the Toledo Sports and Social Club, similar to the Beehive Sports and Social Club, which is all the adult sports like kickball, dodgeball, softball, volleyball, but with alcohol. So to make it safer.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
And so that was where a lot of my being social and active comes into play. And then I joined the leagues up here in Utah. And so I would actually drive to Salt Lake like 3 to 4 times a week to play and things, and then go to events because of how social I was. So everybody thought I lived in Salt Lake. So, but lived up in Ogden. And I thought it was a pretty easy drive coming from.
It's not bad at all.
I'm used to driving all the time. So people are always like, you live in Ogden? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's pretty.
Well, cost of living, and it is more quiet. Do you live in Ogden now?
Nope, I live right in downtown Salt Lake.
Okay, so you're downtown Salt Lake now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the Post District.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And okay, so let's go back to so you do marketing and events coordinator for Salt Lake City Weekly. So City Weekly magazine, right? Or is it a publication? Newspaper. Okay.
Weekly newspaper. And then we host the Utah Beer Festival, the Utah Cannabis, and the Best of Utah, and then a lot of smaller events as well. But the reason you see me at every event is because when we're not hosting the event, we're either sponsoring it, advertising it, partnering with it, or with Five Wives, we're sponsoring it. So I'm at everything in every different aspect. So with City Weekly, I'm in charge of a lot of the events, like putting them together, doing all the marketing, day of, bookings, whatever. And then I manage all their social media. So that's where I get to do a lot of my photography. And as you know, following me on Instagram, it's actually very hard for me to find a photo of myself because
I know.
I realize almost everything I do is video now. So I make reels for a living. So I make reels for City Weekly, make reels for all of my clients. I also own my own side business that I finally started this year doing marketing consultant.
Is that the Boyce?
The Butterfly Boyce.
Butterfly Boyce. Yep.
Yeah. And if you're wondering what the name is for, as you also know on my Instagram, I like to show my butt a lot.
Yep. You like to shake your tail feathers.
I always tell people I'm a little self-conscious about my smile, but when I show my butt, it's the perfect smile. It's just vertical. So,
I like that. It's a whole moonshine type thing, right? I'll give you a shiner. I think that's how this whole thing started, though. How I brought you on, or why I asked you to was you said it was your birthday weekend, and I'm like, one thing that I love to do for people that I like, that I'm friends with, more than an acquaintance, is I asked you if I could do your photos for you for your birthday, because and that's what we talked about. And I'm like, I'd also love to have you on my podcast. And so I told you, I said, whether it's with a partner, an animal, friends, family, whoever, I would love to take some photos for you as a gift, because I think everybody needs to have photos taken of them. And that's what started it for me.
The people that take pictures of you. We take all
exactly.
The pictures, and I'm like,
and that's exactly what I started capitalizing on. And that's the whole purpose of Backstage with Brofiki, is focusing on those people that are helping create, attend, put together, sponsor, partner, just like you're talking about, is what's your story? You know what I mean? So if you're 38 and your birthday was just recent, so it was August, what was it, like 24, 25th or something
26,
like that?
Yeah.
26, okay.
You saw me on the 24th for Ludacris, though. Yeah.
Yep. And let's see. So yeah, Virgo, we're in Virgo season right now. right? So you're obviously like a New Year's baby, right? Because right around that time, everybody's Virgo is actually the most popular zodiac. I get into all that. So I love that stuff. But as far as like all of this, what's your favorite aspect of this? I know you like it all, but like, do you love doing photos more? Do you like booking things? Do you like managing things? Do you like, what's your favorite part of what you do?
I like making people laugh.
You're very good at that.
So the reason I think I've gotten good at video is I do it kind of a different way than most people, and I like to be very engaging. So I do all my filming, photography on my iPhone. Like I've used fancy cameras, but they're hard to get around with them.
They are.
Where do you put it when you're like want to dance? Like, but when I film, I'm dancing with those people. I do my little giggle to make them smile. I get them to do stupid things. Like most people, if you tell them to do something really quick without letting them think, they're going to do it for you, and it's going to make amazing content. So I love that. It gets people excited, like loosen up, become stress-free. And I love introducing other people to each other. So I'm a networker. I'm like, people tell me just like with you. They tell me they do this. I'm like, oh, I know this person that would like that.
Yeah.
You would like this person.
We
should all hang out. I think we would be good. And it's exciting for me because like not everybody goes out as much as we do.
I know.
And for me, I'm 38 years old and single. I'm not responsible enough to take care of a pet. So if there's something going on, chances are, and it's almost guaranteed, I have access to that event. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. Yeah. That sounds fun. So I go out and I do everything, but like each friend group can't go out that much. So as a result, I have different friend groups for different types of things that I do. And then I love mixing them together and see what happens. And normally it's like sex and babies, but sometimes it's other things too. But yeah.
Yeah, or Mormon muffins on a Sunday,
Oh yeah,
whatever that means to you. Mormon muffins and fry sauce. So I'm from the East Coast too. My family's from New York.
Okay.
My dad's family's from Ogden. And when my dad met my mom, he got out of the Navy. I was not supposed to be born. Here I am. Sorry, world. Thanks, mother. Came to Utah and my mom got divorced from my dad, and I traveled a lot. And so from age 6 to 13, we were Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, North, South Carolina, Florida, California, back to Utah, back to Florida, just all over the damn place. And I'm like, I just want to go to school in one place. So I had to like come out to Ogden because my dad was here. My mom's still traveling. My stepdad was in the Army, and so they traveled a lot. So I ended up in Utah of all places, and people are always asking me like, where are you from? And I'm like, where was I born? Where did I grow up? Where do I live are 3 different things.
Yes.
So where am I from? I don't know, the stars, but I'm from New York, and I grew up mostly in Florida before I moved out here. So that's kind of how I explain it. And I think that's why you and I get along so well, is because we've traveled a lot. We've lived outside of Utah before coming to Utah. And most people are like, what? I mean, obviously I'm pretty loud, and, but I'm like, I had to shave my face and my head every week in the military for 6 years. I'm growing the damn beard, and people are like, are you a tattoo artist? Are you a musician? I'm like, nope. I take pictures and I say hello to people. Like, what do you do for a living? I'm a collector. Ask me what I'm a collector of.
What are you a collector of?
Smiles. It's so cheesy. Hopefully you're not vegan, because I'm so cheesy, That's the thing. But it's true, Kelly. Like, there's not very many people like us where they're like, well, what do you do? You're like, I do everything. It's like, well, what do you want to do? Like, whatever brings me happiness. If you like bringing smiles to people and you got all these different things, it's like, it depends. One of my favorite sayings is, I don't know where I'm going until I'm on my way. I don't know who's going to be there until they're next to me. I don't know what we're doing until we're doing it. You know, it could be like 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday and you're like at some weird event. And you're like, I don't even know how I got here. So that goes into my next thing. My next question is going to be like, what are some of the craziest things that you've got to experience in this role that you're in? Or like most memorable off the top of the head, just like the most fun, weird experiences. Like, I mean, I remember I went to, I'll give you a quick example. I went to Little John at Park City Live a couple years ago. It was January 2020. And I met Will, who handled the VIP stuff there. I let him know I did photos for the drag stuff. I just did photos for Beehive State Pageant at Metro. And so I was showing him my work, and I wanted to go upstairs in the VIP area just to check it out, to see if I'd want to do photos there. So I go up, and I'm going to get a drink for my friend Randy because her husband couldn't come. So I was like her friend to go with a group of friends. And I'm up getting a drink, and this guy comes up to get a drink behind me, and he has a sweater like a Carlton from Fresh Prince Bel-Air, right? And very kind white guy. And I'm like, I look to him like, you have got to be burning up, because he's like, sweater, just all this. It's hot, it's muggy, it's January. And he's like, no, probably with you and your beard. And he started hitting on me, and I was just flattered at the time. I'm just like, this good-looking guy's hitting on me. And I'm like, what brings you out here? And he's like, oh, we're shooting an event. I'm hosting it. I'm helping an event on Sunday or something. That's all he said. I'm like, cool. Where are you from? He's like, I'm from Palmyra, New York. I'm like, I'm from Elmira. So we talked about that. He invites me to come do photos at his event, and I have no idea what the event is. Ends up being the red carpet women in the music or in the film industry awards. He's hosting, and he's the owner of one of the #1 public relations company in Hollywood.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Eric Bright with Prodigy Public Relations hit on me, liked my beard, invited me to come do photos, and I'm just hanging out with Aubrey Plaza because of it. And I'm like,
I have a thing. Yeah.
So what do you got? Right. That's my story for you. Just crazy random shit.
Well, one of my jobs, we talked about this briefly before. When I was working in Cleveland for the AST Do Tour, I was just supposed to be like an assistant, like helping shoot like t-shirt guns out for live event productions. And then they had issues with the camera guy and asked me if I could like step in. And so I ended up filming for the next 2 seasons with the AST Do Tour, holding the live event production camera, following around the talent, interviewing all the athletes, all the professional skateboarders, FMXers, BMXers, with no experience ever doing this camera. They went on, got lucky with me, and like, well, you're actually good at this. And it's always been something I've enjoyed doing. This past weekend, this wasn't too crazy, but I got to go to a friend's wedding. Z&Z, one of our bigger EDM DJ groups here in Utah.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yep.
So Alan, one of the guys was marrying my friend Erica, and I'm friends with both of them. And I show up, and it's one of the coolest wedding venues I could ever imagine.
Okay.
And I'd already committed to taking acid for this thing. We'll touch on that later, but I owe a ton of my creativity to psychedelics.
Okay.
But I was there, and then I asked them, like, do you guys have a videographer here?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, just one of our like family members is going to be taking pictures. And then I watched them taking pictures, and I'm like, I can't let this happen. And that's not to say she was going to be bad or anything, but like, this is my chance.
This is your chance.
Like, maybe I'm a wedding videographer. And I posted one just yesterday, and honestly, it was so exciting to film such an amazing moment for especially 2 of my close friends. Like, and then to make the reel afterwards, I was like crying nonstop.
Really?
It was sad to watch. I was like happy. I'm a happy crier. So
yeah.
But that was like, I never saw myself as recording a wedding.
I love that for you so much.
Here I had this amazing time, and then if you go back a couple months, maybe I do so many things. I don't even know when I do them, but I got to go out to the Salt Flats for my friends in the Jaguar Occult. They're one of our DJ groups here in Utah, and they got
Cat Fishner, is there any Laser Kitten? Those guys or no?
Nope.
That's the sorry.
This would be
my
like
apologies.
Giovante.
This would at the Gateway, right? They had they do like the sound thing.
Silent discos.
There we go. Okay, yes.
You've been to those. Yep.
Yep, I went to one of those. Okay, yeah. So you go out there.
They made an art car out of an old school bus, and they hadn't done anything with it yet, and they got rented out by this other group that was trying to host a party out there. And so they were looking for a videographer, and I'm like, well, these are all my friends. Like, this sounds cool. I've actually never been to the Salt Flats for as long as I'd like the official Salt Flats for as long as I've lived in Utah. I was like, I'll go ahead and film that. That sounds good. I get to help my friends out. Like, I'm a part of the Jaguar Occult as well. And so we go out there, and it's just an amazing time. We get to do this. The DJ's going until sunset, or sunrise is the one in the morning. And I had some of the best filming that I did really well. And it was just a cool experience. And I'm like finding out more and more what I like to film. And honestly, it's just saying yes to things. If it sounds slightly remotely interesting at all to me, and I haven't done it before, I say yes.
Okay, so we're a yes man.
I show up on time to everything. I love dressing up. I like to dress up in stupid things. And especially if it's people I know, like I love learning about how every type of event is ran. So I'll show up early and I'll help with people. I'll meet people. And just because the setting up part is fun to me. Like, I've gotten kind of over, like, every now and then I'll buy a ticket to a show just to go to a show. But honestly, it feels weird for me.
Yeah. So, different way of supporting.
Like, wait, what do I do?
I don't know how to stand here. What? Yeah. What do I do with my hands?
You just like wait in line for the alcohol, and then you just. And then where do I go?
Do I have a seat? Like, what? Hold on. Wait, what?
Where's my like fancy badge?
Okay.
But I say yes to everything. So like I've gotten to have some of the most enjoyable moments, and I didn't think I was going to live in Utah for a long time. So once I realized I love nature, I went out and I did everything like quickly. Like, I wanted to go do the parks, all the state parks and national parks, see all the sites, go to all the show venues. Did Vegas way too much, got bored of that. Found out I like hot springs and waterfalls a lot. And my whole life was revolved around sports. And to be honest with you, I barely care about sports anymore. I used to let sports, how a team that I had no involvement with, how the outcome of their game, I let that affect my life. And it took me. I was getting better before I moved out to Utah, because especially with the Sports and Social Club, you realize there's some people that are way too over competitive about things, and I've had to have so many conversations with grown men and women saying when they're being a little bit over too competitive in a recreational league, like, you paid me to play in this league, and the most you can win is probably a t-shirt, and that's not even to the playoffs. You're in the regular season, and guess what? You already made the playoffs because every team makes the playoffs.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Please just have fun and be nice to these people. I'm drinking with you. If I miss a call in a kickball game, go ahead and get over it now. I've had a lot of people come up to me afterwards after having conversations like that and tell them that they thank me for it. And I'm like,
I love that.
Cool. Like, it makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing when I do that. And no, but I say yes to things.
I love that. Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit, because I know you're a huge advocate of psychedelics, and I posted that as well as part of this. I am too, and my life changed a lot, and I wanted to ask you, what was it that helped you get on your natural medicine remedy kick, or at what was it that changed where you started doing? Yes, I imagine it's a side effect of opening your mind and things like that, but how did that start for you? How did your natural medicine journey start?
So
Or psychedelics?
Yes,
exactly.
I don't know if I got lucky per se, but I didn't actually start using any psychedelics until I was 29.
Okay.
And actually, if you would have met, besides weed, I smoked weed, but I wasn't good at it.
Yeah. Okay. I can understand that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a thing, guys.
Yeah. So like, and if you would have talked to me and said that you did these drugs, I would have stopped talking to you back then.
Yeah. Same.
So a lot of these people, if they saw what I do now, it'd be crazy. But I got introduced because I was in safe environments, and I got introduced through Five Wives sponsoring like the burner type events.
Yeah.
There's an event called Building Man down
Building
in
Man. Yep.
River, where I tried shrooms for the first time, acid for the first time, in very small doses, but with very, what I would say were safe people, like people that are very educated in the field. There was like some people that are doctors and doing research on these things. And I'm like, okay. I asked some questions, and then I asked for their help, like when I was with them, and had amazing experiences. First I'm doing Molly was at a Get Lucky.
Get Lucky.
And I was honestly furious with how much I loved that. That was one of my.
You're like, I've been lied to my whole life. What is this?
Yeah. But then it's just been, it was gradual for me.
Okay.
And like shrooms, I always just associated with nature, and so I would always do them in nature. And I started realizing that they helped me stop drinking. So, and I was a very good drinker. I was skilled at it. I was a happy drinker. But I did drink too much. Like I would black out a lot, and that's not good for
snap.
somebody that does networking.
Yeah.
So there's certain points where I'm like, yeah, I don't remember anything past that time. But everybody tells me, like, you were fun. You were like dancing. Everybody jokes. So I just always thought I was fine. But then when I started taking the psychedelics, I started, first of all, noticing my surroundings.
Okay.
And appreciating them more. Okay. So, and that's kind of leads into how I started becoming good at photography and video, is that things would catch my attention more, and I would go to them.
Okay.
And I would look at them, and I was just able to see them a little bit clearer, see a little bit more artistic in them. And eventually I was able to build up where I could take these in social environments. And that led me to, like, I didn't listen to EDM music until basically the same time. We're talking like the same time, but like started liking it in my 30s.
Okay.
And I love.
So how many years ago would you say? I'm curious. Was it like after 2020 or like before when all this started happening?
So we're talking about 7 years.
6-7 years ago. Okay.
So pretty quickly once I moved into Utah. But I just got.
Okay, so EDM music, you start listening to that.
Yes.
Okay.
And started like appreciating music a lot more. Like right now I could barely function without listening to music. But it took me, I did some self-guided trips on mushrooms where I went in with actual intentions of like trying to figure things out. And that's what scares a lot of people sometimes. And yeah, you had some crying situations, but I'm going to jump ahead pretty far here, but I
go for it.
went, and during COVID, I actually went off with Steve Conlon, the owner of Five Wives, and I went and lived on a sailboat with him. He retired.
Oh, yeah.
He retired, and our goal was to go out and we were going to do like a lot of video photography and stuff like that. He's still going through with it all. I unfortunately don't have the funds to financially be able to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But while I was out there, I drank almost we drink very little, both him and I. Like
Okay.
we would have like 1 or 2 drinks when we get to a new place to like celebrate it, and it's just refreshing. But what I did do is take a lot of shrooms. And with us being out on our own a lot, and even like we would break apart and I would like go exploring, and cause I'm a huge hiker and he likes it to an extent. So I would go out and I would hike every single island that we went to. I would paddleboard nonstop and just listen to music while on shrooms. And then I started videoing things and I started taking pictures of things and just learned to move slow and learned how to not like, if I'm moving, not go like this, and especially learned how to not zoom in the middle of a video. I hate that so much when people do that, but I used to do that. And I used to always be a big Snapchat person where I would record everything, but I would be the point where I would just record everything. And I'm like, well, I can't do that again because I've already done it. And I've already posted it. And then I realized, well, I can just record a lot of things until it's something that I really like, and then make small clips of it and put them all together. And now I make reels for a living.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I don't have to listen to my giggle in the background of everything, or me trying to get people to laugh by doing stupid things. You just get to see me getting them laughing, and with a cool music in the background. And since I understand music so well, I've learned how to piece it together and time it well so that it shows up great. So, and now I'm a creative, I guess. But like I was creative before, but like I was graphic design, I was photography, and I was like event based. But now, since I know everything that's going on with the events, I know what's going to happen. I know when that beat's going to drop. Like I know when a DJ is going to drop a beat. So I know how to time things. I know what people's reactions are going to be. I know how to find the person that's going to be the most excited about this, and I know how to make people feel comfortable and just feel. And I've loved that I've been able to like make people feel more confident about themselves when they see their pictures or videos of me. Because a lot of times when the people take pictures or videos of them, they look like shit. And they're like, well, I don't like being taken pictures of. You don't like having bad photos taken of you. So there's a huge difference there. So I loved how it's gotten me to be, people come up to me and ask me to take a picture of them, even when I'm not working and doing anything.
Yeah, because they know that you're going to capture like you're going to capture their energy and like their essence. And that's what you've been able to do.
Yeah. And one thing I've always loved doing, and this is, I don't even know when I started doing this, but the simple thing of just when you're at an event, or just doesn't have to be an event, it could be anything, but you see somebody taking a picture, and I'm not going to go out there and say, you're doing it this wrong, this like that. I'm going to go up and I'm going to hold my camera phone, my flash up for you. Or now I have a walker. If I'm working, I have an actual flash, and I will just hold that there for you, because that will change your photo dramatically. It'll make it look like you did something so much better. And then that person gets to cherish that moment forever with a good quality photo that they feel confident in posting. And it's literally takes 5 seconds out of your life to hold up a flashlight for somebody. And it to see people's smiles, and they're like, oh my God, like, it's really cool. You've got to,
it is cool.
Like you get to, when you show people on your camera, right, that is perfect.
And they're like, oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Like, I love my iPhones. I love iPhones because like if they have an iPhone, I get to airdrop them right away. And that's great for events, because then they're going to post that right on their story, and that's going to make it look better, as opposed when you have to wait for the photos to get edited. I don't edit any of my photos. I'll do the very simple, click the, what do I do? You click edit, and then you click there. You click the auto edit. That's about as complex as I'll get sometimes.
I love that. I can agree with that too. Like I used to love doing photos on like my Canon and Sony cameras, and then I would just be I've gotten to the point where I'm so involved in so many events that I attend and help on like on site that I'll do photos, but then like I don't like get home to edit them and uploading them in Lightroom and then all of that and all. Yeah, I agree with you going to phones. That's why I actually have two phones. I got the Samsung Ultra 21 Plus a couple years ago because it had the best camera on it for a phone. Paid this off, then switched back over to Apple. And so like this one, I do stuff like when I'm places that's just, this is, I mean, it was $1,500. Like it's just as much as a camera and a lens. And then I got, you know, and that's kind of what I've learned too is it's like the whole thing with photos. Like even when you get paid to do photo shoots and stuff, like it's great and you can get in, right? And you have, I always called it like my Willy Wonka pass, because when you have a camera and a media pass, you can take photos, you can be on any stage at any time, but the bands can't, the managers can't, but if you have a camera, you can. And so you have this thing, but like, even if you were to finish the photos and deliver them, it doesn't guarantee that they're going to post them or use them, which is very interesting to me. I'm like, why do we even capture a lot of this stuff? What's the point? And so what I learned, and maybe you can agree with this, like, and this is kind of where I've been pulling things apart and why I wanted to do these podcasts to begin with is, you have an experience, right? This is the experience. What role are you in the experience? You either are the experience, so you're the venue, or you're like the entertainment, right? You're the band, whatever, or you're hosting the experience. So the venue, the promoter, this, you know, whatever. You're supporting the experience, you're sponsoring it, you're marketing it, whatever. You're documenting it, whether you're photo, film, journalism, right? Or you're attending an experience. And so it's kind of like when I'd go places, you know, my partners would always ask me, what experience are you having today? Or what experience do you desire to have? And I'm like, you know, it's hard for me to just attend an experience because I want to help. I feel more fulfilled when I'm helping. Like, I mean, at DOS Energy last year, I had a broken knee. So I was up in like the ADA section front of house, which is VIP as well. But there was a paraplegic that needed some water. We were out of water bottles. It's packed. It's hard to get out of front of house for the main stage. I hobbled myself with my camera because people got out of the way because I had a camera in my hand.
Yep.
Right. So I hobbled around and I went into the kitchen and I'm like, I'm signing out this water for VIP. And I got to do that. And that was way more amazing than me doing photos and never having to deliver anything. So I'm like, I got to help out. But it's like, you have to, like, not anyone can just go grab water. So I've realized, what kind of experience are you going to have? What do you enjoy the most? And I can't just sit still, man. Like, just even, you went to last DOS Energy, right? I can't remember if I ran into you.
We did not.
I don't think so. Yeah, I was mostly in the back and in the production room. I was helping out. I was actually doing photos of all the people that worked.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody did. So kind of like going back to the whole thing is like, who takes photos of those taking photos, or who's taking photos of the security team or the managers or Ian and, you know, Jeremy and Brandon. And so I was there because I was assisting with an artist that was playing for the first time, but they gave me a pass for both Friday and Saturday. And I'm like, that's fine, but I don't even have to be here till Saturday and only for like 2 hours. So I decided, I volunteered and I worked Friday and I went around and I talked to everyone. I took photos of the vendor booths and all this. And I decided to put together a yearbook. And so I'm actually, my friend Sam Crump, he's also a photographer. He does a lot of the stuff. Do you know Sam? You probably met him.
I know the name for sure, but I'm sure I met him.
Yeah, absolutely. So he does a lot for Red Butte and some of the festivals and stuff. And he actually owns this print shop up in Eden. The only printing company up here. I can't remember what it's called, but I went to see him yesterday and he's like, hey, I'm going to help you like print out this stuff. And I'm like, cool. So my thank you to V2 for letting me go to DOS and giving me that extra day is all the photos that I took of all the V2 shows, I'm just putting it together for all the people behind the scenes as a thank you, but also kind of creating a new thing. So Backstage with Brofiki ties into everything, where it's like, hey man, like I want people to know who you guys are, because Kelly, you're one of the coolest people I've ever met. And I'm not just saying that, like literally every time. And even today, thank you so much for taking the time. But it's like, without people like you, these events wouldn't be as good as they are. So one, you helping bring it together, but it's your vision, it's your idea, and it's what kind of experience do you want to have? And you also want to add into other people's experiences, like you're mentioning, like, I know these people would really like these people in this kind of event, and so I'm going to invite these people to this thing, and then my experience is going to be even cooler, because you're being selfish in a way where you want to have the best experience, but you're selflessly helping everyone else out have a better time, because you're like, you guys will be great friends. This is going to be cool. We're going here. Then we're going here, because you're that hub for your own network, and you have all these things. And I get it, because I'm kind of the same way. You just got 3 years on me. You got 2.5 years on me. Okay. That's it. All right. You got 2.5 years. And it's just such a neat experience to see how this all ties together. But like, yeah, like I always tell people, it's like, when you're someone like you and you get to be in all these different things, right? You can write, you can do photos, you can help, whatever. Like, you have an opportunity to really do whatever you want to do. So my next question is, what is on the horizon for Mr. Kelly?
So right now with my new company, I'm testing the waters to see exactly what I want to do.
I love
that. Seeing what I can take on, and like I still will be a part. I love City Weekly. City Weekly has opened the doors for a lot of things for me. I love being a dirty little liberal and having a cool voice to say whatever I want. And it's amazing, especially in the state of Utah. Like, I would never expected that I would get to do anything like this when I moved out here.
Okay.
So I want to, I'm testing everything. And to be honest with you, like just doing that wedding this weekend, I was like, maybe I could do this too. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, I love, like, events are my thing. So I'm most likely not going to get married in my life, to be realistic. There's a chance. So, but I'm used to going to boring weddings, Catholic church weddings in Ohio, and then everybody just getting drunk in a little hall. And out here in Utah, there's pretty places that you can go and get married. And I can make it prettier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and just to see, there's so much happiness there. Like, to get to see some of the smiles on some of the faces that don't always see a lot of smiles, like, it makes me smile. So, and just to be able to capture that, like, when I sent my friends the first video, and I was nervous because I'm like, I've never done anything like that. And like,
really?
To me, like, I captured like really intimate moments, and I was nervous what they were going to say. And she's had the perfect response to me. She's like, I can't stop crying. So,
I love that so much.
So to get like that kind of reaction from things, because like you do it, like, so a lot of times we'll go out and we'll take great pictures and videos of people.
Yeah.
And they never post them. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And nothing. And I'm like, I'm not going to post them on my thing. Like,
yeah, because you did it for them.
So it's like, it's
okay. I got a question. Have you ever been to someone's house or whatever, or like their office, and you've seen one of the photos that you've taken like printed out, or like they use your photos as profile pictures? That right there is why I do what I do.
Yes, that is a great joy. Like, for you to put me as your one of my photos as your profile picture is like one of the happiest things for me. Even just posting something is great. But one other thing is when you're on dating apps and you go through and you see your friends there and you're like, oh, They used my photo as their number one.
Yes, during COVID, that was my thing. I was reaching out to people, and I was on dating sites for fun, obviously, and being single for years. And I put it in my thing, and I'm like, your profile pictures suck. Hire me. We'll hang out. I'll do your photos. Maybe we'll be friends. And I started a business. So for me, I did photos of the muscle from the Diesel brothers, of him and his kids. For Father's Day, because it was a friend of mine on Facebook just knew that I loved like Rob Bailey and the Hustle Standard, like the music and Flagnerfeld gym stuff. And I guess Keaton Hoskins, the Muscle, aka the Diesel brother, was this girl's brother-in-law, and at the time his ex-wife's whatever little sister, I don't know. But she set it up. I guess I helped her through some stuff that I had no idea. She wanted to do a thank you and pay it forward, so synced me up with him to do these photos. And Keaton was dating Maddie at the time, his current wife. So I did these photos. She reaches out to me on her own like a week after I do the photos and delivered them, and she's like, can I order big prints? And I'm like, what? I've never had this happen before. She's like, yeah, I want to do like a 3x3 foot print in black and white. And I'm like, you what? Because my black and white photos, like, I just enjoy black and white photos more, and most people never did anything. And she ordered 3 gigantic prints, and they were like, it was like $400, and they're in his front room in his mansion.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, I took you like that, and to me that was like the greatest thing that any, so when people don't post things, you're like, ugh, whatever. But then when you see something like that, or like being on a Christmas card or something, like that's neat.
And one thing that happened with me is I was just taking pictures of all my friends. It was a Lake Powell trip, and met some new friends there and took a lot of great photos of them. And they said they're like the best photos they've had of them. They hired me to take photos of them and their family. I'm like, do you know who I am? Like, what about you thinks I can do family pictures? And they're like, we know you can do it. Like, and I'm like, and they offered to pay me. So it technically was my first, like, specifically doing photography. Like, obviously I do it for my job with City Weekly. I guess, I mean, this was different. This is like a photo shoot of just like a family. And they have like, I think it was like 8 or 9 kids combined together, all different crazy ages. Go down to like the Provo-ish area. So I'm like, this is weird. And I ended up getting insanely good photos, and they are everywhere in their house, in their office. They send me pictures all the time. Like, we love this one. Like, this is like, they want me to do their wedding when they finally get hitched, and like, it's pretty cool. Like, I felt out of place a little bit doing it, but I really enjoyed it. I've always been good with kids because I've always, especially with sports, I've always done like referees or help with coaching. I just don't have any. I don't necessarily want them per se, potentially.
It's possible, or maybe you can just be like, honestly, I'll tell you right now, like, being an uncle is like the greatest thing because you can borrow them and give them back.
Same thing with dogs. I love animals beyond galore, but like I don't want them living in an apartment complex and with me doing events every single day, and like I just can't do that. I like to say yes to something when I'm asked.
You're like, yes, man, we're doing these things. Okay.
So, so it's an amazing feeling though to see somebody use your photo, and it's like the biggest sign of respect and one of the easiest ways for them to support us, to be honest with you.
That was another question I had for you, was what is the best way to support you in your trade and in what you're doing? What's the best thing that we can do? I mean, obviously, when I publish this, like, all of your social links will be in everything, and I'll give you the link to Spotify and all that, and you can share it with whoever you want to. But what is one thing that we can do to support you, especially with your new business adventure of what you're doing and trying to figure this whole thing out? To you, what matters the most to you? Like, what would mean the most?
What matters the most? I like, in my realm, it's very simple and free to do. simply double tap my post, throw a couple of fucking fire emojis on it, and if you're in it,
yeah. Okay.
It's free to support me. So it's a lot of my friends do it, and I love them for it. But it's such an easy thing to do. Like, if you see me when I'm on social media, I will show love to everything. It's because I know how much it means to people to do that, whether it be a business profile or a personal profile. It doesn't matter. Like, a lot of, and it shouldn't have to matter. Like, for me, it matters financially because I get paid with more engagement.
Yeah.
But even on, like, when I don't get paid for a lot of the reels I make on my personal page. Sometimes it's kind to do, but it really makes me appreciate taking the time to do that. And it's so easy to do. Like, it's literally, you're already scrolling past it, just go like,
that guys, just double tap, share something. If you like something, share it, it, comment something, you know. I have seen your work. I did see the little video that you did when you did go out and do the Jaguar cult thing. I did see that, and it's just interesting that you and I do a lot of the same stuff. But I do every time I see something, as long as it's available. Sometimes you have to have it in the setting where you can have you can let people share your post to like their story. And I didn't know that until somebody told me, like, hey, I can't tag you in this. I'm like, what? All right, this is cool. So yeah, just sharing someone's stuff, and if you like their stuff, you know, just keep that in mind. What is the best way?
Not everybody feels comfortable with doing things like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's perfectly fine. So I understand it fully. So
okay, and then on social media, you're Butterfly Boyce, right?
Butterfly Boyce, yeah.
Boyce, and then that's your last name, correct?
Boyce is my last name, yes.
Okay.
And Butterfly because I'm a social butterfly. And
what, you? No way.
I know. But I mainly chose it for the word "but" being in butterfly. I got my butterflies on them.
You totally would. You totally would. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, man. I just want to say thank you again for your time. One, it means a lot to me. I've thoroughly loved getting to know you just in person, but also this is kind of like our way to hang out outside of everything. And you know, sometimes people want to do like podcasts in person, you know, and which isn't the easiest thing to do unless you have a studio and all this stuff. And I'm like, nah, man, just the comfort of your own home, wherever you're at. So it means a lot to me. Thank you so much for taking the time, but also for taking the time to invest in you, because you're probably going to learn something about yourself. Just so you're like, what do I do? Because you're going to be able to listen back to this or share this with people that, you know, whatever, you know, however, like you'll have this and it's a timestamp, right? You know, it's September 5th, 2023. And who knows, 6 months from now, when you're doing something, you're like, you know what, actually, I talked about this before a while ago, and go back. And that's something that somebody did for me. That's why I do this is,
this is a
somebody did this for me. It is. And, you know, building a friendship, a relationship, like we're doing a lot of things together. There's a lot of things I want to talk to you about after this. And, you know, if you, yeah, someone did this for me. I competed in bodybuilding a couple years ago, and it's because I'll just share this with you. My best friend growing up, passed away in 2015, and he was really into the gym, and he always asked me our whole life to go. And I moved out when I was 16. I got him his first job with me at Sizzler. His birthday was 4 days ago. He would have been 35 this year. And he always wanted me to do this stuff, and he was an entrepreneur and everything. And 2015, he took his life, and it was very hard. And that's when I became a yes man. And that's when I went to the white party 2016 in January. I did Molly for the first time. That's why I was asking you, because that was the year that I said, I'm going to say yes to everything. And it's because John passed away. And so it's just kind of like that chain of events. And that's when everything changed for me. Well, you know, I tried competing in bodybuilding twice, and I got really sick. I got pneumonia the first time. And then the next year I got whooping cough, and my body stopped producing testosterone. So I started like growing, you know, like breast cancer and breast tissue and stuff. And so I had to like get on steroids and all this shit. And I just looked at something that John always did, and he was always just like physical fitness, whatnot, you know. And so I went to compete The third time, and at the time I'm just like, I have to do this for me, but also like this is something to get closer to him and understand him a little bit more. And I had a guy reach out to me on Instagram, and he's like, hey, what you're doing is amazing. I know you've never done this before, but I want to film a documentary about you. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm nobody. I'm literally 240 pounds, like 40% body fat. Like whatever. And he's like, it's your passion and your drive and things like that. And I'm like, okay, fine. So that helps keep me accountable for things. Right. And so somebody believed in me when I didn't see it. And then after that, 2 years later, he came to my house and he did my podcast with me. That was a catch up of, like what has happened since 2 years ago. And he did that. And that's when I learned about film, whatever. And so I didn't realize that he held space for me to tell my story safely in an environment like this. And everything I talked about on that podcast was like my dreams of whatever. And it's still on Spotify, but like I go back to it and I remind myself of how far I've come. So I'm just like, if I can do that for somebody that I believe in, and I believe in you, Kelly, like I truly admire you as a person, and I want to thank you for your friendship and your kindness, and I just want to be able to do that for you. So thank you for doing that and believing in the brand here. So with that, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Just thank you. I appreciate this.
And I think we've actually talked about your friend before, because I didn't dive too deep into it with me, but I lost my mom to suicide 6 years ago, who was a extremely social person. And it does actually tell you a lot about why I do the photography, is because she was the type of mom that made us take pictures everywhere. And we always complained about it. And like, why do we have to take pictures and everything? And now I just wish that we would have taken more pictures. And so now I take pictures of everybody. I will sneakily take pictures of you with your family. And because that's something that I don't have as many like close, intimate pictures of just her and I. They're always like the group family pictures. And video wasn't a huge thing for me yet. And I don't have that much video of her. So now I have all these videos of all my friends and family that whenever you need to, you can go back and reflect and just appreciate them if you ever do lose them. And
I love that.
That's why I do have this tattoo. This was for her. You can't, you got to see it, but
yeah, your son. Okay,
sunflower was her favorite flower in mine, and then I got the butterfly for the social butterfly, and I got my asterisk in there for her. But I finally put it on my sleeve last year because I was finally comfortable with talking to people about it without breaking down and crying every time. So
I can respect that.
So love your story. And so like my photo video is being my mom. And
I love that.
Yeah.
And you're giving a gift that's very intimate and personal for you to the world too. And not everyone needs to know that, but I'm glad that you have found a way for you to give back and share, and the things that you wish that you had or whatever. And it's kind of like being who you needed when you needed it. You get to be that now for other people, and you get to create the world the way that you want to see it more. It's kind of like be what you want to see more of in the world. Right? It's just loving, caring, understanding. We've all everyone has stories. Everybody has trauma, and trauma's good and bad, right? Like when you get a promotion, that's traumatic. When you let's see, we just got a comment in here from Jukebox. It says, appreciate you being part of the show. So thanks, Juke, appreciate that. And we've had quite a few people pop in and out, by the way. And in fact, your friends Erica and Alan were in here for quite a while too. So they came to support you. But yeah, it's just interesting, the things that we go through, and we're not alone. And I think music for me, I mean, I'm not a musician, but I love music. And that's why I tattooed, I've got all this stuff here and music notes, but I can't, but I love it because music can really kind of, it's time travel, takes you back to something. But with photos, you can go back and relive that over and over. And so to me, like, that's what it's been. As black and white photos is my thing, and I mean, I just love people. But honestly, Kelly, I applaud you, and I admire what you're doing. And if there's anything that me and my team can ever do to support you, like, we got you, man. And I plan on still going to shows to the rest of the day. Like I said, I've got this show tomorrow for Dead on a Sunday, and then Friday we have Embers coming to Soundwell, and hell, I'm driving out to Kansas City.
I thought, or no, Thursday I'll be at Soundwell for Polish Ambassador.
Oh, he's coming Thursday? Shoot, I might come to that. Okay.
Friday I have to probably be at Fortunate Youth at Complex or Modest Yahoo in Park City. We'll see.
That Modest Yahoo. Okay. Yeah.
That one looks like a weird. That's that Park City Summit. I don't know.
The cabin is up there. I'm still learning Park City a little bit.
Yeah, Park City. It's at. Where is it at? I don't know. It's an outdoor venue, but it's like the songwriter. I don't know. There's so many events. It's only a Tuesday. I don't know what I'm doing.
I know, right? Yeah. I'm just like, I know tomorrow because I helped do that. Yeah. And then next week, I'm literally driving to Kansas City. I'm driving to Kansas City Thursday night next week. I've never met my co-host in real life ever. We've been friends and we've been podcasting for over a year together, but we've never met face to face. So I'm going to go out there. And Nolan Taylor is one of the guys that we had on our podcast, and he's the one that just kind of blew up, and he's playing on the 16th in Kansas City. And I'm like, and today is my best friend and my life partner's birthday. And so I was like, hey, why don't we do this, Nick? Because she hasn't been feeling too well and she had to work today. I'm like, why don't we just drive to Kansas City? We go hang out with Jukebox and his family, and we go see Nolan Taylor before he blows up because he just signed to Atlantic Records, like the biggest, coolest thing, and get their autographs. And so that's what we're doing. And then, gosh, there's so many cool things going on. So
that's anyway. Awesome.
But yeah, again, thank you. We'll wrap this up. And guys, follow Kelly, Butterfly Boyce, all over social media. If you're in Utah, in Salt Lake City, Ogden, if you're going to these events, you're probably going to see him running around. Say hello to him. Give him a high five. Thumb or him. Wrestle. Whatever you got to do. Take a picture of this man. Yes. Take a selfie with him. Post it. Tag it. Follow him. Like his stuff. Follow him and everything he does. Everything he does is gold. You cannot be around this guy and be upset. You can be upset that you're not as happy as you were 5 minutes prior without his presence. But this man is like a walking smile. And he's like a magnet. Every time I go somewhere, I can feel that he's in the room and I'm like, where is he? So Butterfly Boyce, Kelly Boyce, City Weekly, all the things. One of your 5 husbands. I'm definitely going to have to get a bottle and get you to autograph. I'm going to ask you to autograph my car next time I see you as well. But yeah, thank you for being a part of Backstage with Bro Fiki. I truly appreciate it.
This was amazing. I love this. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, peace out, Cub Scout. Wow, I messed that up. I'm going to try that again. Peace out, Cub Scout. And as always, find a reason to smile every day. Be the reason somebody smiles or has an orgasm, or both if you're lucky enough to do so. Thank you for surviving 100% of your worst moments, so you could be here today. We only have good days. Bad days do not exist. Bad things happen on good days. Doesn't make it a bad day. But thank you for surviving 100% of your worst moments, so you could be here with me selfishly for this moment and for this episode. Stay tuned till next time, and we'll talk to you later, Kelly.
Thanks, bro, baby.